Hey folks, have you ever heard of an autopilot relationship? Well, I have not. However, I have been in one with Amy Robach and didn't even know it. But here's the thing, you might be in one right now as well, and you don't even know it. And with that, welcome to this episode of Amy and TJ on location. We should say, Robes, right now. We are not work office appropriate right now necessarily in our attire.
We're not. Could we call this a workcation or a vacation where we decided to do a little bit of work?
I was confused by both those things you just said.
Is that because Fur-Elise was playing behind you?
Oh, which I had to understand.
Sorry.
Have that explained to me. But yes, we are on location right now because we took a little bit of it is a vacation, but would you say you and I as a couple, would you say we needed a trip and needed some time alone?
Yes. In fact,
Why?
The other day you said to me, I need a break with you. But when you said that to me, my eyes got really wide.
Why?
And you could see, because the way I was interpreting that was, I need a break from you. And I think prepositions are important. And you always choose your words carefully. I sometimes just hear worst case scenario or whatever, but you recognized it in my eyes and you said, I didn't say I needed a break from you. I said I needed a break with you.
So where in that one sentence did you tune out to the point that you missed the most important preposition?
When you hear your boyfriend or the man you love say, I need a break, you immediately just go into full-on panic mode.
Hear the next part.
You hear nothing else. And then you're like, what?
Oh.
And you go into panic mode. You're like, what did I miss? Like, wait, what?
No,
so that actually happened. And as soon as you clarified that I had not paid attention to the preposition.
What would you say?
I felt relief.
Why would you say we needed a break? Why would you have said it?
Well, we went from a year ago to just kind of reintroducing ourselves to, or our relationship to our children, to this past year, constantly being with them all the time. So, and it's been great. We have been with either Sabine or Ava or Anna or all three or a combination of
all summer.
A few, all summer long. Like, I don't know that we've even had like a date night.
Can't shake them.
It's been awesome. Yes. And also, it's funny just from where we were. It's like, wow. One of those, not be careful what you wish for, wink, wink, but one of those things where it really has been awesome, but we have not had as much alone time.
See, and anyone that follows us, we just seemingly had a trip not too long ago. I can't remember when Rome was, when Italy was, but that wasn't too terribly long ago. But the weird thing, we recognize we only plan trips for ourselves now around when all the kids are going to be busy doing something else.
Right.
They have to be otherwise occupied. And so we had to kind of, we only made those two trips because of that.
Exactly. And I would say, like, funny enough, we are together all the time, but we were with the kids or we were working, and we were working a lot, which is great. We love to work, but we didn't just get to have like us time. Like, it's been an interesting thing. I've never, we work together and we are in a relationship together. So it is and we were friends before as colleagues. So it's a strange thing. Like, you've got the work relationship and then you've got the romantic relationship, and the two actually don't coexist. When we're in work mode, it's not about our relationship. It's just been an interesting thing. So when we feel like we've actually said to each other, I miss you, and we've been together nonstop.
We might be in an autopilot relationship.
Oh no, I set you up perfectly.
Or maybe I set you up perfectly.
Yes,
sorry.
You knew where I was going to go.
Sorry.
You led me in the direction you knew I would take us.
No, you are right in all of those things. I am not familiar. I hadn't heard the concept. And it's not necessarily what you would expect when you hear autopilot, but there is a thing out there that people argue an autopilot relationship is one in which the relationship now becomes secondary, that it's almost an afterthought, that you are now going through you're in a rhythm, a routine. And not just that, you're stagnant. You're not going anywhere. You're not getting any deeper in your relationship. You're not falling any more in love. You're just where you are. And the other part of it is that they say, Robes, you're always putting on the appearance that everything is okay.
Wow.
That everything is perfect. We don't fight. And oftentimes you don't, because you just don't even care. You're not focused on the relationship. So you're not fighting and getting at each other. None of that stuff. You're just going through the motions of a relationship. They call that an autopilot relationship. Now, does that sound right or familiar or make sense, I should say first?
It totally makes sense because, yes, you're having to put the needs of your children or the needs of putting food on the table ahead of, yes, the romantic relationship. And that makes sense. And I think that happens to probably most people. And it's been an interesting thing because a lot of times when you're doing the putting the food on the table thing, you're not doing it together. You're doing it in separate offices. And so you have time apart. So you can see how that also feels very distant. And we're even together and it still feels, it's like, it's not us, it's work us. And there is a difference. And I hadn't really thought about it until now.
We can be sitting right next to each other and it's still possible to feel alone. A lot of people can relate to that. I'm not saying that's how I feel with you or have felt with you. But this concept was interesting, and it's interesting that we got to the point we are. This is only a blessing. But the thing we have fought to get to, we got it, which is everybody's good. The kids are good. It's easy. Everybody is happy. the celebrating birthdays together, trips together, all this stuff is so great. But with that comes now a co-parenting situation that we have together that causes us so oftentimes to be focused on things other than our relationship. And your mom would say, we are making a mistake.
Exactly. And, and I always appreciated that. It was not always easy to hear as a kid because it definitely put me in my place, so to speak, but it actually makes so much sense. Having just said goodbye to my baby, Annalise, who is minimally texting me at this point for anyone who'd like an update, but it seems like you only hear from them when things are not good. So no news is good news, or just like short, small, yes, good. Those texts mean that everything's actually fantastic. But with
that's
that,
on brand for her.
Yes,
as well.
it is. It is absolutely on brand.
Okay.
Unless something's gone wrong, I get monosyllabic responses. Yes. But I would say my mom kept always reminding me, yes, your children are your children forever, but truly they live with you for 18 years and then they're gone. And if you look at the entirety of your life or the lifespan of a marriage or a relationship, that actually can pale in comparison. And so if you haven't invested in or continue to try and reinvest in your relationship, the kids are going to say, bye, see ya. Mm-hmm. And what do you have left? You have to remember that actual partner, the spouse or whoever, that is actually the person who you'll spend the most time with. The older you get, the more that's the case.
How many people would go along with that thinking that my relationship comes first and everything else the kid? I was always fascinated, and I think most people don't say it out loud, but your mom was like, she didn't give a damn about being bold. This is first. My relationship, the relationship has to be first.
They always told my brother and I that. They absolutely did.
And you all are secondary. Sounds kind of strange, but the priority has to be the relationship and the couple first.
Yeah.
I don't hear that enough. I like the idea, and we are just now experiencing something together where we have the list. I mean, I was trying to go through it earlier with you. What was first? Annalise had her big birthday.
Her 18th birthday on her last day of school, but she had prom 2 weeks before that.
All that was obviously huge.
Big deals.
Lots of parties.
Yep.
Walking through the streets of Manhattan with big balloons, looking silly, all on her behalf.
Correct.
Party gets thrown. She had graduation, another big party for her.
A very big party, actually.
Okay. Ava
then came
moves
back
in with you for the summer.
from Berlin, and then moved back in for 2 months. Because she had to sublet her apartment to make it make sense while she was in Germany studying overseas. So then she moved back in with us for the full 2 months.
So then we got Sabine has been she had camp this summer, but she has been
when she came back
attached at the hip all summer. And that's great. Yeah, you and I talk about this plenty. Everybody else doesn't know. This is as good and as happy and great a relationship I've had with this kid ever. And we've always been close, but now I feel, is it codependency? It's a weird thing
It's
where we are just in our groove, but that means that you and I are parenting her or dealing with, or you know what I'm saying? Nobody take offense to what I'm saying there, but she's now something that's on our mind constantly and has to be factored into our day. We got marathons we're training for. A lot of people don't know that we are been busy with some possible opportunities coming up that we have actually been in negotiation with and talking about. That's very exciting moving forward. We're going to be doing a live event in Chicago that we're planning.
Yes.
That we'll be able to give you details about that soon. All that, you put all of it together, we have been boom, 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 being this or that to a bunch of other folks. We've been business partners. We haven't done a whole lot, me and you. Just
the two of us. And we've been together nonstop throughout I think this entire summer, I believe we have spent 2 nights apart. And by the way, that was the only 8 hours we weren't together, so we have been, I can't think of another human on this planet who I have spent more consecutive time with and still feel like I could say, I miss you. That is crazy, but true.
But should that be the case? It shouldn't be the case that we spend this much time together. So we did this trip. We were saying we need to spend a little more. We do. We need to focus on enjoying ourselves and try not to. We still get pulled here and there for a whole bunch of things, but look, I think what they call the vicious cycle, that so many couples, they put on this appearance that they are perfect on Instagram. You see all these things, and then some other person looking at that, whose relationship isn't perfect, is looking at that and go, wow, my relationship must be a disaster because theirs is perfect. Mine doesn't look like that. And so then what do you do in your relationship? You go overreact. Say, this is not the person I'm supposed to be with. You don't go put the work into it. And I don't know. I don't want to be that. I don't think everybody thinks it's all incense and candles with us, but we are dealing with this like everybody else. And we stop making our relationship a priority, I think is fair to say.
Yes. And then the first day we actually had it just be the two of us as we're traveling. It wasn't a great first day. I think sometimes anything that's built up that hasn't been verbalized because you haven't had the alone time to actually have true connections, it all kind of comes out in whatever way it does. Mm-hmm. And so the first day was a little rough, but we're good now. But I think that's
a little rough.
I think
it was rockier than those ocean waves I see out there.
Doesn't that happen though? Like the first day of vacation, you're just, if you haven't spent time together, finally it just all comes out and you just have to take a deep breath. And it wasn't how I would have wanted to start the vacation, but in a way, maybe it was a purging or a cleansing.
You needed it? I didn't know I needed it.
You needed it.
I needed it?
You needed it.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't need it.
I think you did.
I didn't know I needed it until you let me know I needed it.
I just pushed the right button. What can I say?
There was one button though, baby.
And I pushed it. But so, yeah. And then doesn't that happen? Like how many other couples can relate? I feel like the first day of vacation might be a little bit of a purging process or a cleansing process.
Weren't we doing great that morning?
We were.
We got to the airport.
Yeah.
Everything was good.
Yeah.
Everything was great.
It was a couple of things happened and then.
But this is kind of just funny. But this is why, and again, a lesson to you all, and I thank my dad for this. He was always early to the point that he annoyed the hell out of my mom. Always growing up. We are mad early everywhere. He would rather sit there and wait for 30 minutes than to rush in and be 30 seconds late.
And when you have anything go wrong at the airport, or traffic or whatever happens, you're so grateful that you don't have to stress about missing your flight.
So here we go, folks. We Robes booked the flights. She booked the trip, and she often does. Everything goes fine. But she didn't attach my TSA pre-check number when she made the reservation. Okay, fine. Not a big deal. We got there pretty early.
It doesn't seem like it, but it's about a 30-minute deal.
It can be.
Yes, and it was.
Well.
And then Well,
It
wait for
can
it.
be, but it wasn't a big deal that I didn't have TSA pre-check on this one. Fine,
So
I get in
I
the
felt
regular
bad
line.
about it. I felt guilty because I was like, crap, if I had just I didn't realize if you didn't put it in afterwards that somehow you were automatically banned from getting TSA pre-check. I didn't know at the time I made the reservation, I had to put it in. I couldn't
Yes.
go back and put it in later.
I thought this particular airline didn't
Okay.
allow.
So
I think others might.
I thought for sure it would have been fine.
This is not a big deal.
But just so you know, I'm feeling a little guilty right now.
Over that?
Yeah, I did. I was like,
Over the
God.
TSA pre-check thing?
Yeah, because it was my fault.
Oh, baby, that was nothing. TSA again, make sure everybody understands here. She booked our flight, and when she booked our flights, she just did not attach my TSA pre-check number.
I didn't have it.
And
okay.
I wasn't available to get
I
it.
didn't do
Don't
it.
do that thing. Come on, Robes.
I didn't do it. I was like, I'll do it later. In my mind, I'm like, yeah, we'll just put that in later.
I didn't have it. TJ was unavailable. I
should get that in my phone though.
Anyway, the point being, we get there. I don't have TSA pre-check. That's not a big deal. I got to get in the regular line.
Fine.
It wasn't terrible. This is fine. But we stand in line for a decent amount of time, but not crazy.
Yeah, okay.
Get up. She goes through first, right? With your.
Yep.
So she's about to get in the security line. I hand the guy my info and instead of just handing me my passport back, he hands me a white piece of paper that I've never seen before with a lot of writing on it, which is directing me to get out of the line and go to the airline help desk.
It's always how you want to start your vacation.
I have no idea. The guy had no idea. I said, so what's the problem? He said, I don't know. You got flagged. They won't let you through. I said, but what? He said, that's not my thing. The airline said there's a problem here. I can't let you through. So we have to get out of line.
Yes. So we walk all the way to the help desk and there's another line. It's quite long. At that point, I look at my phone and I actually thought to myself, thank God we left as early as we did, because I knew we still had 2 hours before our flight was taking off. So I was like, okay, we'll get through this. And you were calm and I was calm. I even I put my arm around you. We were like standing there hugging each other. We were good. We were just
issues.
being calm. Yep. We were like, we're going to paradise where we're going. We're fine. So we get up to the receptionist eventually, and she is fixing it all and like seems like it's no big deal. She takes his passport, and then TJ said, "May I ask?"
And I had to open my big. You knew what this was coming.
May I ask, what was the problem, ma'am? I mean, I was curious too. The problem was whoever entered your birth date instead of saying 1977 entered 1997, and so it did not match your passport, and I clearly made the reservation, so it was completely my fault. So not only did I rob you of the TSA pre-check, I then got us flagged, or got you flagged, because I entered your incorrect birth year.
And then we have to go back and get in the security line.
So now
again.
So my state of mind is I'm thinking, oh my God, because I pride myself on getting things, doing those things. And then I know we're all into details. And I was like, I let everybody down. I just cost us now a solid 45 minutes. It's all my fault. I'm feeling totally guilty. And TJ walks up to go ask this kind man who's standing in front of this back entrance to a line, so we don't have to go through the whole line again, to explain to him why we are allowed to go through this back way because of what happened. And in my haste of feeling so guilty, like I need to fix the situation, I just jumped into the conversation and completely interrupted. It was as rude as it gets. And because I was just like so wanting to fix it, I made it worse.
I was fine. Do you know I have worked on this for years and years. But at that moment, there's nothing I could do but surrender to the moment, and there's nothing that me getting upset was going to lend itself. There's nothing to get on to you for. I know you felt bad about it. There was no reason to make you feel worse. It's not like, I hope you learned your lesson, or I'll just do it next time. No, that's jerk behavior. Don't. It was nothing. And because I always insist, and you wanted to get there early enough, there was no problem. There was actually no problem. There was just inconvenience. That was where my head was. Here she comes to save the day.
And then everybody's, irritated.
Oh yeah, and then it got, but
And
there
I
that
get
goes.
it.
It wasn't just a moment. We've had. I think we only fight about one thing, and like our good friend, Dr. Jeff Gardner always says, it's never what you're fighting about. It's how you're fighting. Like it's how you're communicating about money. It's not your problem is not money. Your problem is not this, it's not that. It's how you're communicating about this and that. And we fail sometimes to communicate about things, but we have an ongoing thing. It became a theme, and then we're not even talking on the plane and all kinds of foolishness. I talked to the flight attendants more than I talked to you on that flight
That is true.
for sure. They were pleasant as well.
You had your AirPods in the entire time too.
And you want to hear the funny part about that?
You didn't have anything playing?
My AirPods ran out of battery power. Like,
Well,
I don't
okay.
know.
So when your partner puts AirPods in, you're like, so clearly he does not want to
were
talk to me.
You weren't talking.
So I actually slept a little bit on the plane, which I never do.
Oh, I didn't even know. I didn't look your way.
I know you didn't.
See, we're laughing about it now.
I just want other couples, like we have laughed at other couples who are in fights clearly when they're traveling with
Man.
kids and the stress and yada, yada. And we have laughed like, oh, look at those poor folks. They're upset. We were those people. There was no like anger. It was just like,
But it's real, and it happened.
It
and
just took some time.
And we're here, and it's been a hell of a summer, and it's the thing we wanted most. We got it. Everybody's good. The kids are good and getting along, and everybody's happy. And we got it. But with that comes more focus on things other than our relationship. We can do both, but again, it sounds. I guess some people would be dismissive of it or think it sounds awful. I just love how your mom always talks about it and says that the relationship is the priority. This is first. The relationship is first.
I mean, it does set an example, and it does teach your children, that if we're good, you're good. There is a security to it in a way, and I appreciate it. And you have to have somebody, I think to have that mindset, you have to have both partners have that mindset. And I think, unfortunately for me, maybe perhaps my mom gave that to me, and then there was an expectation. So, because I do believe in that. And if the other person doesn't, it's not going to work. It's tough. And I know a lot of couples struggle with that, where the children fall in the priority of your marriage. And so when your kids go up and move away as you hope and want them to, obviously, even though it's sad, you do get a reality check. And right now I'm getting that reality check. Like, I love my girls. They're always going to be a big part of my life, but they are not the people who I'm going to be with 24/7 for the next 40 years.
What wouldn't you say, or is it offensive? Will you ask a parent what their priority is in that home?
Yeah.
Kids are number one. Is that
that's
universally?
I do believe that is what most people would say, but I believe my parents would say our marriage is first, our kids are second.
Wow.
I know they would say that. They've always said that. Yeah. And I was raised with that mindset, and maybe that was a unfair expectation to have in a marriage, but for me it was. And I actually am very, it doesn't mean that your kids ever get shortchanged, actually. I would say it's the opposite, but it doesn't sound like the right answer, But I love that you get it. And that's a really good sign.
You think people generally expect relationships to be easy? Well, we've conditioned ourselves to think that, well, we clashed on this or we fought about this, then that means we must not be compatible.
I think that people think everyone else's relationships are easier. I think people look, I think you always think the grass is greener. I think you look at other people, friends, unless someone's obviously in distress. And then maybe you take glee in the fact that yours isn't that bad. There are always those friends that maybe you keep close for that reason. But I think a lot of people, I at least felt like a lot of times, I would look at other people and think, what's that like? That must be awesome. And I think we all kind of romanticize what other people's relationships might be like because ours didn't live up to our expectations. Yes, I can only speak for myself that yes, I think we all get this impression that it's easier or it should be easier than it is.
We know better. Obviously, an autopilot relationship. Have you ever think you've ever been in one?
Um, yes,
I think you have.
yes, but yes, but almost by choice. You know what I mean? Not by accident, and that can also be something.
Wow. Wow. I wasn't familiar with the concept, but I found it interesting, and it went along with I don't know this trip, and this summer has been a wonderful summer, and I don't know, it's all onward. I don't know, so much to be excited and hopeful about, and I even nobody wants to fight, but man, I feel always better about a relationship when you get through it and you get past it and you learn something from it. And I think I think even the professionals agree, right? If you're not fighting, that's not necessarily a good sign.
Yes, and I have had a relationship like that where I never fought. But I think it can speak to your level of passion and your level of investment, because the opposite of love isn't hate or even anger, it's indifference. And so if you aren't fighting, you can't tell me that things aren't annoying you or whatever. It's just you're indifferent. And that to me is the biggest red flag.
Yeah, I'm listening to you. I've heard you say that line plenty. At the opposite.
It rings true though. It rings true.
All right. Well, before we go, I think is that Annalise? I was looking at your message.
No, it's Nikki.
No, there's another one. Look,
Nikki and Morgan.
you sure?
Yeah, it's
There's
Nikki.
no Annalise
It's
in there?
absolutely Nikki and Morgan. It's not Annalise.
Okay. Sorry.
I know.
Never
Now
mind.
she's like my boyfriend who isn't texting me back.
Oh.
She's become that for me now.
When did you have that? Y'all should see her face. Oh my God. This is why we got to put this podcast on video, because that face you just made was worth a
It's
lot.
only the text I wait for from you.
Stop. So didn't you just explain to everybody we're together all the time? Gonna text you while you're in the bathroom.
That is the only time you don't answer me, when you're in the shower or in the bathroom.
All right, baby. Well, we have a couple more days in paradise here to enjoy. We are obviously continuing to work. But no, we just wanted to share, say hello. We got some really fun stuff coming up. We can't share just yet, but
Okay.
we're excited about it.
We will soon.
This is where you're supposed to say, hey, everybody. You can find our official show page at
Amy and TJ podcast.
You know, we should ask. Because we're being lazy. We need like a tagline. We should ask somebody for it.
You know what? If anyone wants to, I was just going to suggest maybe on social media, we'll look at the Amy and TJ podcast on Instagram. Just if anyone wants to share any thoughts on a way to end the show, a tagline, we would be so open to suggestions. So feel free to add that in the comments, along with other niceties.
Niceties. Y'all heard that, right? All right, we'll see y'all soon.